Hello, this is Dude Mose. Today I'm going to talk about Wandering Earth. By the sea, a little boy and his dad are staring at Jupiter through a telescope. His father tells his son that Jupiter is made of hydrogen and that hydrogen is the fuel for his rocket. The father is going on an important mission to save the planet. And with the boy will remain only grandfather. Lucci together with grandfather will go to the underground city for rescue. Other people will participate in the lottery to go there. There are dozens of natural disasters all over the world. The sun, because of this, survives the last years of its life and begins to grow in size. All countries are united in their efforts to save humanity by pushing their home planet out of the solar system into the nearest 4/2 of a light-year system. The project is called the Wandering Earth. The project where 10,000 engines will be built, which will push the Earth out of the solar system. A team of thousands of astronauts and engineers will be sent to complete the construction of the navigation platform on the ISS, which took 30 years to complete. The navigation platform itself will be 100,000 kilometers from Earth, serving as a control and communications center for the entire planet. The situation on the planet will worsen every day, and to protect the people were built underground cities under each engine. To get to the underground city will throw holes in every region of the planet. Astronauts in orbit become hibernated for long journeys. 17 years later, an older Lucci hears a radio broadcast announcing that the first group of scientists are returning to the planet after long work. She goes to her sisters to pick her up from school. Han Duo on the question as she understands what is hope. She does not know what to answer, but just want to get to the surface. At the same moment, Lucci breaks the glove of the electric board, and together with his sister run to an underground merchant for costumes and a permit to leave. The trader reported that Lucci would return the costumes tomorrow, but his sister gave him away saying that his brother was not coming back. And the merchant demanded answers from the guy. Lucci did not want to explain to the merchant and used an inflatable bubble, which then exploded, allowing the brother and sister to escape. Fleeing persecution, they arrive at a place where they recover to the surface. Go through the checkpoint and come to the surface. On the surface, the temperature dropped to -83 degrees Celsius. Lucci with Duo set out to look for Grandpa's truck. Using grandfather's pass they steal a truck. Lucci warns her sister that when he gets to the parking lot, the sister will return home alone. But the policeman stops the truck, and the guys end up in a cell, where they meet Tim. Aboard the ISS navigation platform, the father of Lucci, Lu Peiqian, is going on a well-deserved vacation after 15 years of work at the station. His colleagues congratulate him on this remarkable day. The station system detected Jupiter's gravitational leap, possible Earth collision became inevitable, all information passed to the heads of state. Grandpa, having learned that the grandchildren were detained, comes to get them out. An attempt to bribe the guard failed, and he and his grandchildren refused in the cell. While Grandpa was looking into the relationship with his grandchildren, Tim got involved in the family business, and Lucci reacted to this intervention by hitting his hand on the wall, causing a crack. Earthquakes have passed through the Earth, taking people with them and disabling the planet's engines. Trying to make their way through the city, Grandpa and his grandchildren get to the truck. And on the run, they get out of the city. One of the stones falls on the truck's trailer, and they detach it from the truck. On the ISS navigation platform, the system is entering a low-energy mode. Lu Peiqian contacts his father, anxious for his son, and asks the ISS system to find the nearest security location and pave the way there. As the truck was heading for the evacuation site, it was stopped by rescuers and requisition transport to get the core cargo for the planet's engine. Having attached the core cargo to the truck, the team is sent to the destination to install and start the planetary engine. Before going into hibernation, Lu Peiqian learns the coordinates of his son. The station system reports that a truck with his son is heading to Shanghai, opposite the evacuation point. The leader of the rescue cargo is reported to be dropping civilians in the city of Tientsin, but to transport the cargo needs a driver, and this is the father of the astronaut. To which the son Lucci concedes that besides the grandfather, he can also control the transports. And upon arrival at Tientsin, the grandfather and sister can stay there. Lucci also remembers his father's death. Making your way through the dilapidated city, atmospheric pressure fell and the tectonic plates began to move. The city began to collapse. The rescue team, along with Lucci's family, Tim and the engineers, reached the building after the shaking. After pulling the core out of the trailer, the team climbs up the still-standing skyscraper. Having lifted most of the people to the required floor, one of the cables began to pull down behind him, and the captain cuts it off. Broken rope with his grandfather catches the rescuer. The cable that's attached to the elevator breaks, pulling the elevator itself. The rescuer realizes that he cannot save himself, saves his grandfather by opening the door for him. And he sacrifices himself. Grandpa, looking at his handheld PDA, realizes that he has little time left, takes off his spacesuit and dies of cold. The earthquake continues and the skyscraper also collapses. This time, the way rescuer and Lucci with the sister are separated, as the transport is no longer available and the driver is no longer required. At the ISS, his father escapes the hibernation chamber, and with him awakens astronaut Makarov and an engineer. Lu Peiqiang reports that the space station has been severed and communications with the Earth have been disrupted, and to restore access it is necessary to reach the control center of the station. Wearing Lu Peiqiang and Makarov spacesuits, the spacesuits go into outer space to get to the main module of the station. The Makarov rope snaps, and he almost flies off into space, but Lu Peiqiang manages to catch him and drag him to the containment plant. They see a picture of Jupiter drawing out the Earth's atmosphere. Lucci reaches the destroyed plane and finds a whole truck with an engineer on board. The launch core that is in the trailer is intended for the Sulawesi main planetary engine. After turning on the radio on the emergency frequency, Lucci hears the commander of the rescue team that asks for help to deliver the launch core. He also learns that the underground city of Hangzhou has leaked magma, and the fate of 300,000 people in danger. The engineer recalls that the engine that is located along the equator is more important. Lucci decides to send to the rescue team. One in rescue team reports that the underground city of Hangzhou is completely destroyed. The commander understands that as they have the launch core mission continues and orders to inspect the integrity of the core. Lifeguard girl can't handle the nerves, and she discharges the clip into the launch core. Squad leader rescue freaks out and shoots his entire vending machine. To cope with emotions, the commander says he's disbanding the team and everyone can go home. Lucci's sonic signal draws the commander's attention and informs them that they have a core and they need the help of a rescue team to deliver the Sulawesi engine to the site. Makarov and Lu Peiqiang continue to pierce the hull of the ISS navigation platform. In one of the modules there is an explosion and the fragments fly into two astronauts, crushing their hull. They have flown some distance, they manage to grasp the hull. Over them passes the bridge to the center of the control. But the system's computer prevents the astronauts from catching on by blowing them off course. Makarov's spacesuit was damaged and the protective glass began to crack. Realizing this, Makarov alienated Lu Peiqiang and himself flew into outer space. Lu Peiqiang, applying a magnetic key, opens the airtight and enters the control center to receive communication with the Earth. The ISS system is being alerted that being here is a serious violation. What Lu Peiqiang breaks the computer to not listen to these warnings. The computer reports manual override, and all actions aboard the control center are laws to confirm the output of a list of documents signed by heads of state. The information that the Earth will be destroyed and all possible variants are calculated. The radio station reports on restarts of the remaining engines. To go to Sulawesi, the team needs to refuel the transport. Lights flashed on the engines and the crew cheered up. The center control system reported that the heads were aware of the Earth's collision with Jupiter, but still staged a rescue operation that was doomed to fail anyway. And evacuating the space station meant the mission failed. The project, according to the system, failed and the computer, after 15 seconds, informed all the remaining inhabitants of the Earth that in a few days all will die. And instead of the old Wandering Earth project, will initiate the Helios project. Helios is a project where a huge number of human embryos, plant seed, digital library of human civilization to create life on a new planet. Chaos, looting and violence began in the underground cities. Hearing such words from the ISS navigation platform computer, Luigi remembered words about Jupiter when they spoke to his father. And he got the idea that Jupiter could be set on fire. That's the information he'll give the engineer Lee. And Lucci proposes to light a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen, just a match. And they come up with a great idea to use one of the engines as a big match. But to do this, you have to modify it. Hearing such words, the commander and his team join in this adventure. The command is sent to the engine that Lee proposes a plan of action. Once the engine has completed 3 steps, disabling the engines to gain access, unlocking the locks, installing the launch core. And he added at the end that the blast would be very strong. The commander asks the other rescue team for help, but received no response. A small group reaches the engine. The rescue team sends to release the lock manually, the engineer to the remote control all the system. Using the virus, Li turns off the engine and gives time to remove the blocking mechanisms. Lu Qi and Tim are headed with the core to the engine. Unable to fully connect to the computer, something prevents you from doing. Another engineer sneaks into the server room, lit his cigarette, finds the necessary wire and pulls it out. Lu Qi delivered the cargo from the center of the engine. The kernel is installed, but the closing mechanism clings and leaves no other choice than to manually remove the jammed locks. Lu Qi takes the rope and goes outside. Jumping on the platform, manages to grab everything around, begins to collapse. Having knocked down one of the locks, the platform is lowered. Tim asks to hurry or Lu Qi will crush the platform. Han Duo finds in his pocket a key for emergency communication, contacts Lu Qi's father and asks for help, because he is the only hope. Han Duo tells the plan to set Jupiter on fire with the Sulawesi engine, that after the explosion the shock wave will push the Earth back from the tidal grip of the giant. Lu Peiqiang contacts the United Earth government and talks about the plan that the rescue team on Sulawesi want to implement about the arson of Jupiter. And to implement this plan, you need the help of other rescue teams. The response of the United Earth government was negative, but made it possible to make such a decision by the rescuers themselves, providing global communication with all. Han Duo on global communication asks everyone concerned to help, recalling the question of his teacher. What for her the word hope? The girl says she didn't believe in hope before, but now she believes that hope is a precious gift to her. Reporting the location of her group, which is trying to save the world. A voice from the navigation system says the international broadcast is over. All rescue teams that have left the engine control center turn towards the Sulawesi engine. Having knocked down the second mechanism, Lu Qi asks Tim to pull out as he himself is stuck. Tim lacks the strength to pull his friend out, and he decides to jump down. Lu Qi manages to get out from under the platform. Everything starts to collapse. The overlap in the server room fall on the second engineer. The engineer from the last strength turns on the power of the engine again. To help the commander and Han Duo resort to other rescue teams, joining forces they move the fuse to the engine. The system is fully ready for launch. Li hastens Lu Qi to get it out of the reactor faster. Once the Lu Qi is out, the Li activates the engine. A column of hot plasma rushed towards Jupiter, but only 5,000 kilometers were missing. His father realizes that he has a lot of fuel aboard the ISS and that he has enough to blow up Jupiter. But he needs permission from the government. Helios defense system did not allow for this and blocked access to the control center. Lu Peiqiang takes the risky step of delivering a bottle of alcohol hidden in the suit and throwing it into Helios' computer. The fire quickly spread to the control center. Having re-established communication with the government of Lu Peiqiang heard that they had agreed to donate the station to save the Earth. Lu Peiqiang disengages hibernation modules from the ISS platform and the ship directed the Sulawesi engine beam. Lu Qi by radio is trying to stop everyone to save his father, but the father has accepted his fate. Lu Qi recalls his father's words when he said that as soon as his son sees Jupiter, his father will return. Lu Peiqiang said that it will become a star, just lift your head and see it. The explosion happened, and the sun saw a bright light in the sky. The shock wave will reach the surface of the Earth in 7 minutes, and all rescuers need shelter to survive. The commander and Duo were covered with debris, and the elevator itself was cut off. Li proposes to take cover under the engine. The guys manage to get in the truck and head towards the engine Sulawesi. The pillars of the fire fragments headed towards the Earth. Lu Qi's truck is hit by a flying rock, tearing the car in half. All members fall down from a great height. Tim manages to grab a protruding pipe. Lu Qi grabs him, but his sister flies down unconscious. Letting go of his hands, he flies after her. She manages to grab it and hide in an inflatable protective bubble. Lu Qi, in a semi-unconscious state, notices a piece of the transporter falling on them. Dodging the impact of the car, splinters burst the bubble, smashing Lu Qi's spacesuit. Han Duo tries to help his brother. The team managed to push the planet away from Jupiter. And the Earth set off. The Earth survived. 3 years later, Lu Qi, Li and Han Duo set out on a mission. Thank you all for watching. And good luck! You want more videos? Subscribe and like.